Hello! I am excited and happy, and I just thought I wanted to come on and share that with the world. I did a Halloween yarn-based advent calendar again this year with my best friend, and we did it differently, and it's all very exciting, and I just wanted to show off what we did and the yarn that we made. So I posted about it last year, that you can get like advent calendars for Christmas, and you get like the 24, you start opening on December the 1st, and then get to the 24th, same as a regular advent calendar. You can buy them online from indie dyers or whatever. But I learnt last year, I got really into spinning yarn, so I was like, oh, I could make one. And since neither of us is particularly into Christmas, but we are both quite into Halloween, I'd seen somewhere online about someone talking about making a Halloween advent calendar, and you do that for 13 days, so then it's like a spookier number. Because otherwise, like, if you're doing it from the 1st of October, you have to take it all the way through to the 31st, so that'll be that much longer. So the 13 days works out really well, and we always do it from, I don't know if you're supposed to do it like the 13 days leading up to Halloween, but we always do it at the start, and I think that works out really well for if we're doing other kind of Halloween preparations, that we kind of get all of that in early, making sure that we've got the time to open it and share what we've got right at the start of October. So then when we're doing the kind of more Halloween stuff, I usually end up working and performing sort of the week leading up to Halloween, so it kind of keeps those two things a bit separate, and house decorating and things like that. So just as a little recap, last year I made these boxes. So these are regular just pucker tea boxes, and I covered the word pucker with a little cauldron, and I covered the inside, and it just said Halloween, and I specifically didn't put a date on it so that we could use it again in future years. And I made 13 yarn spins, and I still have some of them I haven't used yet. I made these 13 yarn spins. I wrote a little description. In that description I gave them all names. This is the Vampire's Bride, because it's supposed to be like a dress with blood on it, like the white dresses brides of Dracula, and then wrote a little fun description about it, and included like the details about how long it was, approximate yardage, and how much it weighed. And so I made up these little noodles. Let's generously call them mini skeins. I think maybe they could be called micro skeins. I have seen people selling these like at markets, and it's like, hey, it's sewing thread, like it's just a little bit. So it's everything ended up being like between 3 and 10 grams. Might have had like a 12 in there or something, but they were various sizes, and they were little noodles, because I span up whatever I span, and then I cut it in half, so we both had half of it. And then I put them all in here. I wrapped them up in 2 different types of paper. I wrote down the numbers on them afterwards, and had them all in this box. So then we ended up with like a random order, and we were texting each other, showing pictures and stuff as well, to say like, oh, this is the one that I opened. So we got to see them. Now, this year I said that was quite a lot of work. I was finding it a little bit stressful. It's been a bit of a tough year for some other things, and I thought the pressure of doing 13 yarns, naming them, spinning them up for both of us, doing all of like the prep and stuff. A lot of the yarn that I spin, like the black wool that's in this, I process from raw, so there's a lot of like extra prep that I tend to do with it. And I said, is there a way that, because this year she's also got into yarn spinning, I said, is there a way we can share this a little bit? And I think, as I said in my video last year, if you've seen it, and that's all recap, I thought it would be kind of cute to do not necessarily strictly yarn, but then kind of other similar craft thingies. And so I said, could we do this, and maybe like we'll take bits out of stash if we need to, or whatever, and we'll do half each. So 13, so we'll both do 6 for both of us, and then we'll do 1 gift for each other. And she went, yes. So that's what we did this year. So half of them, I knew what they were. I opened them up. I did randomise the order, so I didn't know what I was getting on each day. But I opened them up and I was like, oh yeah. And then half of them I opened up, I had no idea. So I thought I would go through and show what we had. And even more excitingly, I've become a better spinner. She's gone straight from basic. She doesn't sort of process from raw, so she's got a little bit more speed on it. She's gone from not spinning, I don't like to spin on spindles, to I want a spinning wheel, and I bought her one for her birthday. So this was not big enough. I put all of mine in here, and it was completely full with just my 6, and then the one like gift for her, and then she put all of hers in here, and the box closed when it was just her 6. And as I've been unwrapping them, I've put them in here, and I just wanted to talk through what I did, what she did, and we also ended up with like a weirdly similar theme. It's quite funny. So I'm just gonna pull them out in a pretty much random order and talk about them. So this one, I actually put this one in as a bat, and I've already spun it up. I don't think she spun her yet, but there's a creator that we really like that we've met at a couple of events last year and this year called Yarn Tings, and she had a bat called Midnight Mass, and this is my little leftover bits from a different project into a black base to create a tweed yarn, and I've already created mine. So this was in as a bat, but I felt the need to spin and it was there. So ain't no ting but a yarn ting. And you can tell there's just a lot more fibre that's gone into every one of them. This is one from Bestie. This is called Deep Blue Something, and this is a purple and grey, and it's plied with a navy, and this is 33 grams. So she did 66 grams of it, and then split it into this little cake. This Deep Blue Something, which is very fun. It reminded me of a purple yarn, and I was showing her this morning. It's like, oh, you gave me like the little end of it. She goes, oh yeah. It's like you took this one and then mixed it in with this other one. So it really reminds me of her and her projects. This is mine. I was feeling a little bit experimental. So with the black fibre to this black Shetland base, which I've got a couple of whole fleeces of, I thought I'd try dyeing with hair dye. And so this is one that I dyed with hair dye, and I thought, which is like a mango copper, just one of the ones I got from Superdrug around the corner. And so this is I just dyed in your yarns tonight. Which I think is probably like the best pun. The descriptions I wrote for myself were like nowhere near as good this year, but I wrote out full long descriptions for her. So this one just says peak Halloween, peak pun. So yeah. And the weird theme that we ended up with was quite a lot around yarn dyeing, and quite a lot around mental health, which is like a bit of a wild one. We've got this one, which she made, which is Miami Nights. So this is the World of Wool Miami Nights colourway. She spun it up and she's cut it up for both of us, but because it's purple, it's got kind of like a magical, spooky feel about it. And it's 100% merino, and I've got 58 grams, so I think she's got the remainder of the 100 gram braid, or bat, or however it came. This is one of mine. This is, I didn't clean my drum carder properly when I put the white wool on it, so it ended up quite sort of mixed with everything. So it's got little bits of brown alpaca, it's got some like of the red that I had from Tour de Fleece. And I called it Trash Yarn for Trash Days, but actually it came out looking so incredibly beautiful. I was spinning it up thinking, well, maybe it'll be good to dye, and because I'm, getting a little bit more into like yarn dyeing and things like that. But actually it's come out just looking fully amazing. So the moral of this one is, even if you feel like trash and just do something and it's creative and it doesn't feel like it's going to be any good or whatever, it can still surprise you. I call it like investing in future me. So like, oh, I've made this thing, maybe future me will like it. Future me likes it. Welcome to the future. So this was one that's not yarn, and I called it Make Something Batshit, and on mine it just says no batshit. So this is just a Halloween bat ribbon. I've had it in stash for a while. I've used little bits of it on stuff, And I thought, you know what? We will peer pressure each other to use it and stop it just being in stash, too pretty to use, and I don't know what it's for. Um, so I cut it in half, and now we've got half of what remains. And we could inspire each other when we're crafting to be like, oh, I'm going to use a little bit of that bat ribbon, and she's like, oh, I've got the same amount. So if one of us has an idea, we can kind of play off that with each other. This is one of hers, which is luxurious fibre, merino and cashmere. So when I bought the spinning wheel, the person that I was buying it off, it was their sister had been a spinner and they'd passed away. So we got all of the little bags of fibre and stuff as well. So she's put it in as like old lady cashmere, and that's what the white strand is, because it's from an older lady that had passed that we got her spinning wheel. And this colour is called It's Not Gay If It's in a Three-Way. Honey in the middle, there's some leeway. Not gay if it's in a 1, 2, 3 way. So this is a 3-ply. And I think it's like she's called it a drapey strand of niceness. So, because it's a combination of merino and cashmere, so particularly kind of luxury fibres. So yeah, I think this might have been like her first go at doing a 3-ply yarn as well. So it's really nice, I think, especially when you teach someone something, when they learn, like when you see them learning and you see them doing stuff that has nothing to do with you. So they're like, oh, I learned how to do this while you weren't looking. And they're like, oh, it's amazing. So there's something really like nice about that, and that's true for yarn spinning, and it's been true for circus and knitting and all sorts of other things that I might have taught people with. This one is called rejection sensitive disorder. So when we were out at a festival, I at one point said, like, I think I need to sit down, spend some time just being calm. She wanted to go round the last room, so I handed her £20 of cash and just said, if you see something that you think I'd like and you want to go and pick something out for me, here's £20. Like, you can spend it on something for me. And if you don't see anything and you bring it back, that's fine. Or if you like half, that's also fine. So she went away and she came back with some really pretty rollags and also a mini bat. And the mini bat colour was not one that I liked. So she spun it up and plied it with some dark colour. She said, like, oh, you know, hopefully you like this one. If not, no big deal. I know I picked it out for you and then you just gave it back to me as a gift because you didn't like the colours as much as I did. But, you know, here it is. I've combined it with navy. And it is much nicer now it is combined with navy. I'm sorry that I didn't see the beautiful vision for it because it had more pink in it than I wanted to sit and spin with. But now it's made up, it looks so much more purple. And I think it looks a little bit like the bi flag. Bisexual yarn. It's the best colours. There's still so much in here. So this is one from me. So this is again a dyed one. So this is the base. I called it I'd Die Without You. And so like this is that sort of Shetland base, and then I dyed it with hair dye from the supermarket. Because it said it had 100% grey coverage, and I wanted to know if it would cover this grey, and it does. So if in the weird future we're ending up with sheep feeling like getting advertised to and feeling sensitive about their greys, and they're trying to sell them on specific sheep-based hair dye, they can just use what we've already got. You'll get that 100% grey coverage even if you are a sheep. So yeah, this one's got that weird hair dye smell. That orange one has as well, where it's like, I don't really like it, but I also can't stop sniffing it. So, yeah, I'd Die Without You, black, pure black. And this has also made me think, because one of the things that had been putting me off yarn dyeing, like, there's quite a few things that had been putting me off, but one of the things had been like, well, the colour I want is dark colours and black, and I've already got black, so why would I need to dye it dark when I can just use the black fleece? And it does show that there's quite the difference between like natural black and like dark black. So I think there's a space for dyeing over a black base. Little sip. Gotta stay hydrated. Oh, so much. There's so much, and so much of it isn't stuff that I made. It's very exciting. Okay, so this is the horror double bill. She did two of them, which I thought was so cute. I punched the holes in all of these with a little star shaped thingy. She wrapped hers in tissue paper and put cards in. I wrapped mine in old takeaway, like when you buy a fish and chips or like from our local kebab shop. The paper, I kept it if it didn't have food on it, and that's what I wrapped mine in. I wrote the description on the inside. So she's described this as 9 grams of my worst nightmare, which is the grink. So green and pink. It's coming up on camera way more neon than it is in real life. It's much more of like a raspberry magenta-y shade. Slightly more accurate. And then this lime green. And she said it's so loud I can probably hear it from the next room. Because I said like, oh, my eyes are bleeding, sort of for colour combinations. So that's my horror. And she said this is her worst nightmare, and she's called it Deliberate. And it's a really weird textured yarn that she would hate, in colours that I really like. And it's got big globs of sari silk, and it's thick and thin, and it's all very like artsy, and it's not her vibe at all. I think it's come out really cool though. I actually really quite like both of these yarns, including this one, because I think that the pink and green are a pretty good combo. I think green mixes with a lot of things quite nicely, so like green and grapple, they get their time. So that's the horror double bill. But I just thought that was really creative and really interesting, and like opening up two very small yarns, as opposed to like one packaged one, and having them be paired like that. This is, my little labels come off. This is the World of Wool 70% BFL, 30% kid mohair buttery biscuit base. And this has been just spun up in a regular 2-ply ZS spin. This is 53 grams, so it's 100 grams that she's cut up. So it's a slightly kind of off-white sort of beigey thing. And this is called I Hate My Fluff and Want to Die. so many of these were about yarn dye, and we didn't talk at all about that we were going to make it themed around yarn dyeing, and so many of these are ones that I've dyed, and you know, it's got all of the weird depression theming and stuff like that. It's just, you know, two minds of the same kind, really. So this one's saying like, you should definitely dye it, you should dye this yarn, do it, dye this yarn. And this I opened literally the day before I opened one of mine, which was some acid dyes which I bought online. So this is You Make Me Want to Die, and this is I Hate My Fluff and Want to Die, and there's also I Die Without You. There's a lot of the same puns. So I got 5 from Facebook Marketplace. They were kind of just half opened. I've used a little bit, and I'm getting rid of the rest of my stash. So I've got these 3 colours, which is like a purple, a red and a blue, which are kind of my shades, and I gave her a red and an orange in hers, which are her colours. But also we're going to be doing, there's quite a lot in there about like, we should reach out to each other and be each other's support, which we always do. That's why we're besties. So we're going to have a go at learning how to do acid dyes. So I basically put in there like, hey, I bought these, can we learn how to do them together? Which is generally how we learn a lot of new things. That's how we learn tunisia and crochet and natural dyeing. And the last one from me is Knit in the Dark. I put in there as well about dancing in the dark too, embrace the darkness. So this little bit of green, this was actually the first one that I spun. A little bit of kind of like greeny stuff is glow in the dark yarn from the range, and they sell it and it's like 10 meters, so it's not enough to knit with or do anything sensible with. So I thought, oh, I'll separate out the strands and then I'll do it as like a as like a sort of single piece of cotton, because I think it is a cotton fibre, and I'll have that in there as part of it. And it's like, no, it did not want to separate at all. There was no possible way I was doing that, so I just cut it up into tiny little strands and then added it to the drum carder and then mixed it in with some white. So this is for when you want to sit and do some knitting and it's dark. and in her case, maybe her partner's asleep, and she just she wants to crochet in the dark, and you can use the light up crochet hook and the glow in the dark yarn, and you're sorted. And then this year we did as I think I mentioned, we did 6 each, and then we did a 13th one just for each other. For her, I crocheted a little rose brooch, like a little black flower. It was supposed to be a rose. It came out as a generic flower. I put a safety pin on the back, and I sewed a button in the middle because I had this vision, and I had to do it of the Coraline Other Mother Eyes. So it was like an all-seeing eye brooch, so it can kind of look at it. And I called it Sounds Pretty Gay Man because of Neil Gaiman. And I said that I didn't know how to broach the subject because I knew it wasn't her favourite author, but this was the all-seeing eye of the other mother. And for me, she did Brat Girl-a-Ween. So this sort of green, gungy nightmare. And she said in the thingy, is like, it looks like just a mossy chartreuse, but actually it's a ply of lichen and gooseberry. Oh, excuse me. So if you look carefully, you can see, especially on like where it's been a little bit less tightly plied, that it's a lighter and darker green. So it's got a really interesting dimension to it, which you don't see on the first look until you kind of look together. Obviously the Brat Girl Summer thing. And this is 98 grams of the best yarn she's made so far, which is how she's described it, which is lovely. It's nice that we give each other so much the best of each other and what we make. So yeah, this was my 13th one, and that's all of them. I just wanted to have a little moment talking about our exciting I'm depressed, let's dye yarn together advent calendar. And yeah, it's been really nice as well to see how differently we spin, because while I helped her to get started and sort of done resources, asked questions, I set up her spinning wheel, and we went on a lot of part of that journey together, where I'd got the knowledge from like online videos and trying and going to like a yarn spinning group and meeting people. She's done so much of it just without me. Like we've worked a lot independently, and she's ended up with this really distinctive style, and it's kind of like, you know, when you see like someone's handwriting and you know that they've written it, or you see someone's drawing and you're like, oh, I know who drew that because it's their style, beyond it being like, oh, because of the way that they've chosen colour or anything like that. She has a spinning signature, which I hadn't, because I don't spend a lot of time with the yarn of other spinners, or like especially like an individual spinner. I haven't seen like what their signature and what their style is, and so she does these really tight. She always described it as a worsted spin. I would say it's like these really distinctive plies. So it's like a really tight spin, and this is just kind of the way that it's coming out for her. So she does a really tight spin with really distinct plies, and I want to say it's like slightly on the ropier end, but that sounds like an insult, but it's not. Whereas my spinning is much, much looser. So when you look for the ply, I mean, this one's a 3-ply yarn. So like that's also 3-ply. This one, and it's light as well. It's a lot less obvious. So while you can see that there are multiple plies, it's nowhere near as visible in the yarn. So my yarns are a lot kind of loftier and rounder, whereas hers are a lot kind of tighter and smoother. And yeah, I just think that's something that's really interesting and really nice, that I could look at 2 hand spun yarns and they like, oh, we spun this, I did this one, and she did this one. I think what we've got there is a team up where we have to do single spins. Actually, I've already done that because I did her mystery yarn. I've given her some singles because at the start she was only interested in plying and not so much in like the drafting and the spinning. So I made her some singles and gave them to her as like little gifts throughout the year because we're terrible for each other. And yeah, so maybe we'll see how that goes with like her own singles combined with it and see what comes out of that. But yeah, so that is our very exciting Halloween calendar. Who knows what we'll do next year, but I think it's really nice that it ended up only being it ended up being a lot less work. If you've been paying a lot of attention as I went through, you might have noticed that there were actually 14. I couldn't count. I accidentally made 7, so we got a surprise. So we did our normal up to 13, and then it was like bonus one, and the bonus ended up being on a Monday after she'd gone back to work. So that was like a nice little high that we didn't end the weekend, end the calendar, and then it's all on Monday and it's all a big drop. So little secret bonus one. And considering I did a secret bonus one last year, like an extra little mystery yarn I called Welcome to My Nightmare, which was all shades of pink and it was horrible, and she really liked it, as I'd hoped she would. That actually ended up being quite similar to this year, but that was a surprise even to me, because I didn't realise until I was wrapping them, like, oh no, I made an extra one. I think I wasn't going to use one of the hair dyeing ones, but then I ended up dyeing a bit more than I thought I did, and was like, oh, I can cut this. So I think that's probably where that happened. But yeah, very excited. We're trying to work out what kind of project that we want to do. The only thing that's come out of my like brain so far, aside from I want to spin the bat, and I spun the bat, is that this one, Brat Girloween, I think would be amazing with grey, because I made one last year and I think I still have it, called Haunted Well, and it was about grey mixing in with, and I put a little bit of yellow and a bit of green with it to make it look like lichen. So I'm thinking that I could do like a grey, essentially like a bigger version of that. I could do something sort of like a grey cardigan with this as like colour work across the yoke. So I think that's going to be a nice one. I don't have any particular thoughts about the other one apart from this one says it needs dyeing, so we'll have to dye that, maybe with some of the acid dyes. But yeah, happy Halloween to everyone who celebrates and all of the spooky people who spend all year looking forward to it. And yeah, get a lot of rubles in a dead rat if you really try. Catch you later.